Hey guys, welcome back to a video of me moving my hands on camera while talking. Today, I'm going to be following in the trend of my previous video and bringing you a project that I made on my 3D printer. And spoiler alert, I had some success, but that's not without some setbacks. But before I show you that, I want to get into a little bit of backstory on it. I've always had some germophobic tendencies throughout life. None that are extreme in any way, but in the way that I imagine a lot of people do. I don't like opening public bathroom doors or touching the keypad when making a purchase with my debit card. Whenever I use a public bathroom, I would use my foot to lift the seat and flush. My point is that I have a history of not enjoying touching public facilities. I understand that I can just carry some hand sanitizer with me, but dry skin has always been a problem of mine, which is only exacerbated by having to constantly dry out my hands more with alcohol and the sanitizer. With that in mind, I once again found that I had a problem which could be very well solved using 3D printing. I was inspired by Alex Steele's video where he forged door openers out of steel and sold them on his website. The thing was that I didn't want to just copy his idea by 3D printing it because the truth is that I would just be making something that was inferior in all ways. Because of that, I decided to add some additional functionality to my version by adding a bottle opener and keypad pointer for typing in my PIN. The goals for this project were that it would be first of all effective at doing these jobs. The tool should be resilient and long-lasting, while also being able to be comfortably carried in my pocket. With this design criteria in place, I got to work on some early prototypes. I decided to start off building the bottle opener portion, then building the door opener around it, since the bottle portion seemed like it would be the more precise of the two. This is what my first draft looked like, and it's not hard to see what can be improved. The back spine of the bottle opener is so skinny that it is almost guaranteed to fail upon any pressure, but along with that, it was very unergonomic. I also decided that the wide arc where the opener latches under the bottle was needlessly curvy, and I could probably add some rigidity by doing away with that. As you can see, I implemented those changes into my second variant of this tool, and things were notably better. However, as you can also tell by the large crack in the center, this was not strong enough. I believed at the time that the main fault in this design was that the back spine was so straight that it didn't provide any additional strength in the direction of stress caused by opening a bottle. With that in mind, I felt more confident that I could figure this out by the next iteration. Here you can see that Mark III introduced the first door opener aspect to the design, and this design was actually significantly stronger than the previous two. It even successfully opened a bottle. However, when it came time to test the door hook, it was simply not effective. The angle of the hook was such that you would have to pull at a very awkward angle to have any hopes of getting force on the door. My initial thought was that a larger, more round hook to attach to door handles better would solve that problem. This can clearly be seen by the next iteration, where I was seemingly drawing inspiration from a shepherd's hook. However, I found this design so displeasing to the eye once I got it off the printer that I didn't even bother testing it. I was not willing to accept this as the final product of my efforts. So onward I went. The next iteration was where I introduced a shape of door hook that was not only much more pleasing to look at, but vastly more effective than previous versions. Not to mention that it was still small enough to fit comfortably within my pocket. This was a win for the design. However, while modifying this version, I had accidentally made the overall structure too skinny, and I could feel the flex of it in my hands. Feeling this flex, I didn't dare try to open a bottle with it, because I knew that the outcome would have been catastrophic failure, without a doubt. I spent the next iteration improving on this problem, however I once again underestimated how thick it would need to be, and had to again thicken it in the next version. At this point, the model started to feel very strong, and I had some confidence that it would actually be a successful iteration. But that success was short-lived, as this one broke under the bottle opening test. Down but not defeated, I continued on to find a way to make this tool work. This is when I learned what I am sure so many of you already knew. I was printing these wrong. You see, I was under the false understanding that the strength gain was not substantial for any infill percentage past 30%. However, what I have now come to learn is that the sweet spot for this project is actually much closer to 50%. But that is not my largest error in print settings. The much more substantial difference in strength that I learned from this video by CNC Kitchen is wall thickness. It's a very informative video, not only about the strength difference in infill percentage and pattern, but also explaining how the wall thickness can provide even more substantial gains in strength than infill settings due to the direction of stresses and how the perimeter layers can help to fight this. Armed with this new knowledge, I reprinted the previous failed design with 4 layers instead of 2, and the difference was substantial. I could feel when trying to bend this piece that it had much more strength than before. I still wasn't totally happy with the size of the keyring hole, and a bit more strength never hurts. So I fixed those problems, and this is what I came up with. It works for opening bottles and is extremely effective in protecting my hands from the unknown particles lurking on gas station bathroom handles. It took me many more iterations on this project to get something I'm happy with, but I'm glad I saw it through. It's interesting to look back at them all lined up, as you can somewhat see my learning curve and thought process as the iterations go on. This was a fun project, and it's once again very satisfying to see something that I created be useful in my everyday life. This isn't the end of this project, however. I'm going to carry this on my keychain and give it to a few people that I'm close to in order to test it in the real world, because if it can't stand up to everyday use for the test of time, then it doesn't actually meet my criteria of having to be resilient and long-lasting. I might give a part 2 in the future to update on what became of this, but for now, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.